Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. Thank you for coming out to tonight's event. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the Muslim Student Association in collaboration with the American Chemical Society who brought this event to you tonight. Also, I'd like to thank the Pre-Dental Society and the Pre-Law Society who helped us promote this event. Thank you for coming for our event in honor of Black History Month. I'm sure you've all seen several reminders about Black History Month throughout the course of the past over February, whether it had been through Google Doodles or Snapchat filters. We've all understood the importance of this month. Tonight we'd like to commemorate one figure in particular, Malcolm Little, more known as Malcolm X. And we'd like to start tonight by remembering him by a few words in this short clip.
Malcolm X.
I think a lot of people are confused by the new Arabic name, El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz.
I've always had the name on my passport, Malik El-Shabazz, only I only used it in the Muslim world. Well, Hajj is a title that is given to any Muslim who makes the pilgrimage to Mecca during the official Hajj season.
Well, will you now use Shabazz and drop X?
I'll probably continue to use Malcolm X and I'll probably use it as long as the situation that produced it exists.
You don't feel that Shabazz takes the place of X?
My going to Mecca and going into the Muslim world, into the African world, and being recognized and accepted as a Muslim and as a brother may solve the problem for me personally. But I personally feel that my personal problem is never solved as long as the problem is not solved for all of our people in this country. So I remain Malcolm X as long as there is a need to protest and struggle and fight against the injustices that our people are involved in this country.
So, Malcolm X once said, education is our passport to the future. So that's why we brought you here tonight, so we could further educate you on the legacy Malcolm X left behind and about his life. And to help you prepare for the future with education, we brought Dr. Ibrahim Abdul-Malik to help us educate on the life and legacy Malcolm X left behind. Dr. Ibrahim Abdul-Malik was born in New York City, and he holds 2 doctorate degrees, one from Harvard University and one from the Graduate Theological Foundation. He has several certifications, and he founded the first junior college in the Islamic Republic of Maldives, and he continuously is invited to participate in interfaith activities. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Ibrahim Abdul-Malik.
Assalamu alaikum. Before I begin, let me resonate with something that you heard in the clip. I was just introduced as Ibrahim Abdul-Malik. I was not born into a Muslim family. In fact, I was born into a Christian family. And the tradition goes that if you're born into it, whatever the family, whatever the religious persuasion of the family, then that's what you follow. Well, I broke that tradition and took the last name Abdul-Malik. A good reason, actually, because my family name was King, K-I-N-G, and you can see the connection, Abdul-Malik, servant of the king. When it was time for me to make it official legally, I thought it appropriate to inform my dad of what I was going to do. And I must admit, it gave me pause, because it would almost have seemed as if I were abandoning the family traditions and all of that. And so when I went in to tell him, he looked at me and he said, "Son, is that what you really want to do?" I said, "Yes." He said, "It was a slave name anyway." So I'm now free of the slave connection, although only symbolically, because the reality is that many of the things for which Malcolm X is noted, for which he fought, continue to demand attention. Now, I have to admire you. I am admiring your I don't know what title she holds here, MC, okay? But because she prepared, clearly, she prepared, and I like that. But I came prepared too. And I was going to give you just a brief, very brief introduction to Malcolm and the man, the experiences, his early life, because all of that is extremely interesting. And if you haven't yet read the autobiography of Malcolm X, I urge that you do. And add to that the 1992 film by Spike Lee, Malcolm X. And those two will fill you in with a lot of the details of this man's life. He was born in 1925. He was killed on February the 21st, 1965. You know that his birth name was Malcolm Little. And you also now know, you heard from the clip, that once he had gone to Hajj, he changed it to Malcolm El-Shabazz. He died at the age of 39. Does that say anything to anybody? Does that ring a bell for you, anybody? Malcolm X was killed at the age of 39. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
What? Tell?
I'm not really sure.
Don't give excuses, just tell what you think.
He was assassinated by
Who?
the government.
Yes, but he died at 39. My question is, does that number, that age 39, say anything to you, suggest anything to you? Yes?
Was MLK killed when he was 39?
Yes. They were 4 years apart. 4 years apart. Malcolm X was 4 years older than Dr. Martin Luther King. And they both were killed at 39. Yes. Very good. Thank you. Read about Dr. Martin Luther King as well. He is more than I have a dream, okay? Much, much more than I have a dream. You see, we have to watch for this. Particularly you who are young and going to be the leaders, watch for this. How people will be reduced almost to a symbol. You think of Dr. Martin Luther King, and in the eyes of so many, he is the one who gave the speech, "I have a dream." Well, he's so much more than that. Okay. I would like to share with you the last paragraph of the eulogy that was spoken at Malcolm X's funeral. Does anybody know who delivered that eulogy? We'll come to that. Okay. Just testing to see how prepared you are. Consigning these mortal remains to earth, the common mother of all, secure in the knowledge that what we place in the ground is no more now a man, but a seed after the winter of our discontent, which will come forth again to meet us. And we will know him then for what he was and is, a prince, our own black shining prince, who didn't hesitate to die because he loved us so. Those were the ringing words of Ossie Davis, a very well-known black actor. Had anybody ever heard of him? Ossie Davis Jr. and his wife, who was equally famous as an actress, Ruby Dee, R-U-B-Y-D-E-E. Okay. Now, when Bara approached me and he said, I want you to talk about Malcolm X, and then he sent me this email that said, talk about his life and his legacy. That's a big order. Even though he lived 39 years, and that seems like such a short lifespan, really, but he accomplished so much. So where do you begin? What do you consider legacy? Well, I figured it out about 2 days ago. I've been thinking about it, but I figured it out. And today, I'm going to share with you, and I'd like this to be interactive. Do you know what I mean by interactive? What do I mean?
Now, you ask us questions, we answer.
All right, oh, you could ask me questions, I answer, but we interact. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So that I'm not a talking head and you're not just a bump on a log. Is that fair? I know, you think you can come in here and have this talking head do all the work and you sit and no way. We're going to be interactive with one another. Okay. By the way, I'm curious. You mentioned the Chemical Society. You mentioned, what was the other sponsor? Pre-law and pre-dental. Are these female only areas of study? I mean, I'm delighted, but where are the guys? Wow. Okay, that's cool. Go ahead, girls. More power to you. More power to you. I even see somebody who's wearing a Harvard shirt. Can you believe that?
Yes.
That's my alma mater. Good for you.
I order for you.
Ah, how lovely indeed. How lovely indeed. Yes. Okay. All right. I have 8. Why is it suddenly getting so much louder? I have 8 areas where I'm going to talk a little bit about the legacy of Malcolm X. And the first of those 8 is in the area of education. Appropriate, wouldn't it be? After all, I am at NJIT, right? And this is an educational institution, so why shouldn't I begin there, right? Thank you. And I'm going to invite Malcolm X to teach tonight. Now, don't you go around saying, wait a minute, what kind of a guy are you? Do you do funny stuff? You know, what do you mean? Malcolm X is dead. What do you mean you're going to invite him to teach? Why would that statement make sense? I'm going to invite Malcolm X to teach. Okay, I can always count on you, Hannah. I can always count on Hannah. Did you hear what she said? Then speak up, Hannah. Which means that I'm going to obviously refer to things he said. And that will become the basis and so on. So that's my invitation, okay? So let's begin with the first. My alma mater was books, a good library. I could spend the rest of my life reading, just satisfying my curiosity. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I do like an honest show of hands. How many of you read for fun? Honestly now, don't tell me what you think that I want to hear. You read for fun. Yes? Okay. See how few hands have gone up? See how few? What is Malcolm X teaching you? Important to read, isn't it? Not just for the class, but for fun. That would be one important piece of legacy, wouldn't it? Why don't you read for fun? I'm curious. Anybody would like to suggest? You're smiling over here. Why don't you read for fun?
This is not fun. It is knowledgeable and educational.
Okay, I'll come to that later. Over here, why don't you read for fun? Because you're busy. Busy having fun doing other things. But your fun doesn't include reading. Uh-huh. Nope.
Video generation.
I'm sorry?
It's the video generation.
I am the video generation too. I'm still here. I am here. Sorry. I know every 20 years it's a new generation. I got that, sir. I'm with you. And you're right. I am 4 generations ahead of them. And that's good. You see, I got you.
How often do you text? How often do you go to the internet to look for...
Daily, many times a day. Daily, many times a day. I've got a computer on my desk. I've got a laptop. I've got an iPad. I do all this stuff. I've got an iPhone I carry in my pocket. So I do these things too. But guess what? I also, finish it? Read for fun. And Malcolm X advised it, didn't he? Without education, you're not going anywhere in this world. One of his famous quotes. And education doesn't mean just getting good grades. And if that is your limited concept of what an education is, may I urge you to expand that concept. Urge you to expand that concept. Okay, please. And your education doesn't end when you are awarded your diploma or your certificate or your degree. It only begins then. So, first legacy. Making note? Second legacy. Stumbling is not falling. Am I interrupting with interfering with your setup here?
No, I'm recording.
You can follow me around?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good, thank you. Because I don't like being tethered to a table.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you know that word tethered? No, I don't know what he meant.
Chain down.
What did he mean? A chain down. There's an interesting verb. And we're talking about Black History Month. And what was the verb? Chained down. Ah, did you see the connection?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay? Language is amazing, isn't it? Oh, it's amazing, amazing. But tethered, yes. Tied to. Okay? Yes. I don't like to be tethered. I don't like it. I like freedom. I like to be able to move and move freely. Okay. So, the second, stumbling is not falling. Can anybody demonstrate what a stumble is? Usually, I think the word demonstrate, I use it in the passive voice. She's using it in the active voice. She's saying, demonstrate, demonstrate. Okay, all right, well, who would like to demonstrate what stumbling is? Come on. Oh, that must be something they teach here at NJIT. When you ask for a volunteer, you do it. Do you understand the difference between? Show me. Why not?
you like theoretically show it? Like what?
Theoretically, why are we in theoretics?
Like I mean like actually.
Yeah, show me what a stumble is. How will I know you understand it? You say you understand what a stumble is, but I don't know that you do. Yes, please.
I'll stumble.
Stumble.
Okay, so when you stumble, it's like if you trip on something and you go like.
Ah! Young lady after my own heart. You've got it. Okay? Stumbling is not falling. Think about that. 4 simple words. But think about it. And add it to this. There is no better than adversity. Every defeat, every heartbreak, every loss contains its own seed, its own lesson on how to improve your performance next time. What does that all say? What'd you get from that?
That there is no hardship that won't lead to a better recovery.
Very nicely put. You're quiet over here, but you're very nicely put. Did you hear him at that end? No. Say it again.
That with every stumble, there's a better recovery. So that even if you fall, it's easier to get up and do more with that fall.
And equally important, you don't let the stumbling prevent you from getting up and trying again. That's the end. Is that an important legacy? So, legacy number 3.
Can I add one comment in there?
Please.
I believe also his idea was that if you're afraid to stumble, then you will not do anything.
Sir, I wanted to go there. But
Sorry.
no, please, I'm delighted you did. Because you went a little deeper. And that's what I am urging upon you, but I hesitated. But thank you for giving me permission. I will now go all the way. But yes, the point being, don't let your fear of falling or stumbling prevent you from making an effort. That's really the lesson. Okay, legacy number 3. Personal declaration, I call it. And I will read the statement to you. Do listen, because remember, this is interactive. I am not a racist. I am against every form of racism and segregation, every form of discrimination. I believe in human beings and that all human beings should be respected as such, regardless of their color. Those were the words of Malcolm X. Now, I'm going to ask you to apply those words to yourself. So I'll read them again. So listen carefully. I'm not a racist. I'm against every form of racism and segregation, every form of discrimination. I believe in human beings and that all human beings should be respected as such, regardless of their color. Comment on that statement, if you will. Hello.
Get the voice to speak.
Please, comment on that statement. You heard it. Speak up, please. Yes, please.
I mean, what he's saying basically is that he's against racism
Yes.
and the institution of racism.
Okay. Is he saying anything other than that, or anything additional to that?
I think when he was doing the work that he was doing, a lot of bureaucratic, or a lot of like the white bourgeois people said, oh, you're just racist against white people.
Mhm.
And I think he said that in response, like, I'm not a racist.
It was indeed a response, that is true, to an accusation, that
To
is
an
true.
accusation.
But did he say anything more than I am not a racist?
He said he's a
Yes, sir.
I think he was trying to classify everyone as not by ethnicity or by color, that everyone's just a human being. To boil it down to just that level, that we're all just human beings.
Okay.
Put like classifications on us.
Cool, cool. Any other comments? Yes.
When he mentioned, like, kind of what she touched on, a lot of white people, when you talk about race, they'll just say you're being racist. I mean, does he believe that reverse racism exists?
Okay. Any other comments, please? You heard it. I read it twice. Yes, sir. Louder.
I think what he was trying to say is,
By the way, he wasn't trying to say.
well, what
He said it.
What he stated
Thank you.
was, despite any color or race, every human being should be given respect as such.
Okay. Very good.
Whether, I guess, towards white or black, any aggression or feelings you have against each other, you should actually not deem upon them, but actually still issue respect to your neighbor.
Okay. All right. I suspect that if I go around the room and ask every individual, I will get some variation on what this gentleman just said. Why am I getting feedback?
You're the speaker.
Well, anyway.
Did he single out the color as the only form of racism that he's interested in, or he thinks it's important?
No, actually he wasn't. But remember, this was in 1965. This was at the height of the civil rights movement. And much of it was inherent in color of skin. Other things as well. But that became almost the symbol, if you will.
Right.
You see? But there were many other factors involved. And he was, believe me, he was not that superficial. Not at all.
Because
Okay?
he, based on history, he
Yes.
supposedly at the beginning was or had some or expressed some form of racism against the white.
Oh, listen, that is absolutely true. That's part of the history.
Okay.
That's part of the history. That's not hidden. That was indeed a part of his own development. Because when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, created the Nation of Islam, which, by the way, although we who are Muslim, and particularly those of us who are Sunni Muslim, tend to look down on those efforts by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and say that wasn't Islam, as if we are Allah, because God only knows what is and what isn't. But anyway, but that aside, that was part of the teaching, you see? And even though, obviously, it is not something that I would agree with, and later on in Malcolm X's development, he rejected that idea and saw the limitations of that view, okay? And in fact, became much more accepting of human beings. And that's why his use of the term human being is so vitally important here. Because against that background, you are talking about a man who once thought that the white man was the devil, all right? And who emerged from that imprisonment to see human beings as human beings, irrespective of color, gender, whatever. Does that make sense? Okay. But there is a very important piece that no one has touched on. I'll read it again. I am against every form of racism. I believe in human beings. Just look at those two statements. Part of the same. You didn't pick up on it yet. You will. Think about it. Yes?
He's saying it's not human nature to be racist.
Oh, I don't think that's quite what he's saying.
But then if he says, I believe in human beings, and he doesn't believe in racism.
You are, you know, I have an expression I use with my students. Hannah knows this. You know, I say you're in the right park, the right ballpark, but you're not quite in the building. If you're in the building, you're not quite in the pew. You know what I mean? I want you to get to the bullseye, you know, the target. All right. Notice this. I am excuse me. Yes, sir.
Is he saying, right, that he believed that, well, I kind of get the sense that he believed in racism, as in the fact, from the perspective as the race as a human race.
Uh-huh, okay.
Instead of racism as color.
Uh-huh, okay, okay. Now, he's also in the building with you. He's in the building.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe is it saying that when he says I believe in human beings, is he saying that human beings, that he has faith that human beings will be able to overcome that racism?
Now, there's an interesting extension, and very possibly, why not? I mean, it's as valid an extrapolation as any. Of course. What is wrong?
I think it's because you're.
I gotta stay put. Okay, I get it. Okay, okay. Can you put that speaker down there somewhere? Anyway, all right, no problem. Now, this piece is critical for you to appreciate. Notice the first, I am against. The second, I believe. What is fundamentally different about those two statements?
Because when you say I'm against, you're saying I don't believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you say I believe